Joining us to talk more about the situation in Stockton, we are now joined by Michael Sweet, a partner at Fox Rothschild. He's in Las Vegas tonight, and Charles Ortel from Newport Value Partners joining us live from New York. And Charles, let me start with you. This situation, I see the headlines. They are now eligible for bankruptcy protection. Help us understand what this really means.
Well, unlike a corporation, the municipalities, states, and indeed the federal government of the United States do not file financial statements that are strictly in accordance with accrual-based accounting. So it's very tough for an outsider doing a cursory look at financial statements to determine just how secure these entities' finances actually are. In the Stockton case, what is particularly noteworthy is that so far it appears all creditors will not be treated equally. The California State Pension Authority is going to get paid 100 cents on the dollar. Others will get left hanging. And this is unlike what typically happens in corporate bankruptcy law, and which makes most people believe that this matter is going to percolate along and ultimately be decided at Supreme Court level.
Charles, Michael, if Charles is right, what does this mean in terms of the bankruptcy rights of creditors? I mean, does it dilute their rights, or is this just part of the way that the system works here in the United States when you talk about bankruptcy?
Well, a couple things. There's a little nuance to it. What Charles said would technically be correct, but for the fact that Judge Klein in the Sacramento ruling today, in the ruling in his courtroom in Sacramento today, did put everyone on notice that the day of reckoning, and those are the words he used, the day of reckoning will come, and a plan to emerge from the bankruptcy wouldn't be approved in his courtroom if there couldn't be appropriate equity amongst the creditors. So while the city of Stockton is proposing to pay the pension payments in full while shortchanging the other creditors, the judge sent a strong message today that that is unlikely to pass muster when he ultimately rules on whether their plan of adjustment can go forward. So we are watching carefully to see exactly what happens here and whether the pensions are impaired with everyone else. Now, that's what everyone is watching very closely to see if the pension obligations will be reduced the same way the bonds are. And if that's the case, it's going to send a strong message through the markets for other cities, both in California and across the country, including the city of Detroit, which just had an emergency manager appointed, and they're watching very closely there. Look, what's happening in Stockton is similar to what's happening in cities across the United States.
Yeah,
revenues dropped.
That's another big case in Detroit that everybody's watching as well. But I want to take a step back from the legalese, if you will, because a lot of folks who are watching on our international channel might be asking this one question: is, well, where's the states in all this? Where's the federal government? Wouldn't it be natural for one to think that the state or the federal government would come and assist the city when the city is in trouble? And Charles, I'll let you take a swat at this.
Well, actually, no. I think what we have here in this country is we have a very unusual situation where the state, mostly the federal state workers, are extremely overpaid relative to world scale. And there hasn't been the kind of tough restructuring that's happened in the United States in the private sector, in the federal government, in the state government. So you have this unusual situation which has been delayed and deferred for a long period of time. Now we are, I think, at a tipping point where there's no more juice left in the sponge, that we have to get serious about right-sizing these states, municipalities, and indeed the federal government. And the voters are being played during election time. They're being told the problem isn't as serious as we're finding out that it now is.
Michael, Charles brings up a couple points regarding this situation. It doesn't pertain to just this city, but overpaid firefighters, policemen. This is taboo almost for politicians to talk about this because no one wants to say that their group of supporters are overpaid. But does it beg a bigger, different question? Is it a revenue issue, or is it an expenditure issue, or is it a combination of really both that's causing these problems?
Listen, it's certainly a combination of both. In California specifically, and looking at Stockton, when the housing market dropped, revenues declined because the majority of local revenues in the state of California come from property tax collections. So as property values dropped, revenue went flat. At the same time, the costs of meeting these pension obligations are increasing because people are living longer and people are getting much richer retirement packages than they used to be. In addition to that, cities made commitments to pay health care for not only employees but retirees, and health care in the United States is becoming more and more expensive every year. So cities signed up to make payments when times were flush in extraordinary amounts of money, not foreseeing both the bottom falling out of the economy and an increase of costs that was just to people who were making these decisions. I would think it would have been unexpected, because if they knew what they were getting the local governments into, I have to believe that the decision makers 10 years ago, when they were signing up these programs, or further back, would have thought twice about it. The fact of the matter is, now there's a mess, and they're going to have to sort through it.
It is a mess. Michael Sweet, partner at Fox Rothschild, joining us from Las Vegas. Charles Ortel from Newport Value Partners, joining us from New York. If only you guys were in charge. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for helping us better understand the situation.